We're here in Ponce Inlet, Florida, home to the tallest lighthouse in the state and one of the best preserved light stations in the entire country. Standing at 175 feet tall, the Ponce Inlet Lighthouse has been guiding mariners since the late 1800s. But this isn't just about climbing a lighthouse. The grounds here are filled with the original buildings, exhibits, and artifacts that tell the story of what life was like for the lightkeepers who kept this beacon burning. So join us as we explore the Ponce Inlet Lighthouse and Museum.
All right, we are here to conquer your nemesis.
Yeah, the last time we were here, I was super dehydrated and tried to go up to the top of the lighthouse, and I feel like I almost died. When we got out of the lighthouse, my calves were cramping. I couldn't take another step after that.
Here we are for round two. We have our brand new lighthouse passport. We're gonna do this video properly. We've been here before, but we did it as part of a listicle, so now we're here to do it as a proper video.
The Ponce Inlet Lighthouse and Museum is located less than 10 miles south of Daytona Beach, along Florida's scenic Atlantic coast. It's home to Florida's tallest lighthouse and one of the largest and best preserved light stations in the entire country. The grounds are open to the public daily from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. from Labor Day to Memorial Day, and from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. during the summer months. Tickets are purchased on-site at the gift shop and no advance reservations are required. Admission to the Lighthouse and Museum is $6.95 for anyone over the age of 12, $1.95 for children ages 3 to 11, and free for kids under 3. If you plan to visit the nearby Pacetti Hotel Museum, admission is $5 for guests over 12, $1 for children ages 3 to 11, and free for kids under 3. And if you're collecting Lighthouse passport stamps, don't forget to grab your Ponce Inlet stamp right here in the gift shop. Each lighthouse across the country has its own unique stamp, and if you don't already have a passport, you can even buy one here to start your collection. Alrighty, here we go. Here we go to the top of the lighthouse. Truth be told, I have a little bit of PTSD from this lighthouse because I had such a tough experience the last time, but we went here in the dead of summer and it was so hot and I was like dying going up this lighthouse, but let's do it again, okay? Standing at 175 feet tall, the Ponce Inlet Lighthouse took 3 years to build and was completed in 1887. The entire tower is made of over 1 million bricks, and interestingly, no metal was used within the walls. At the base, the brick walls are 8 feet thick, gradually tapering down to about 2 feet thick at the top. Inside, a spiral staircase winds its way up to the gallery deck with 203 steps in total and 9 landings along the way. Even today, the Ponce Inlet Lighthouse remains an active aid in navigation. Its powerful beacon is still maintained by the museum staff, keeping this historic light shining for ships along Florida's Atlantic coast. As we made our way up, one of the first things that you'll notice is that some of the landings have signs that you can read while you catch your breath, like this one entitled Earthquake. On August 31st, 1886, while the tower was still under construction and at about this very height, the 4th strongest earthquake in American history struck Charleston, South Carolina. Lighthouse keepers all along the East Coast recorded the effects of the shock waves, but here at Ponce Inlet, which was then known as Mosquito Inlet, no damage was reported.
All right, let's say we're about halfway.
A little higher up, there's another sign, this one titled Death of a Keeper. It keeps the story of Joseph B. Davis. Davis was climbing these very steps to light the lamp when he suddenly suffered heart failure and died. When the lamp didn't come on, second assistant keeper Ben Stone came to investigate, finding Davis's body and carried him down the tower. Not exactly the kind of story that you want to think about while you're still climbing to the top. Ooh. Okay. I'm feeling it now.
Yeah. All right, take a quick break. We're almost there.
How far?
That's sort of
We're at the top. Shut up. That was nothing. Oh. What? Oh my God. Oh, wow. What a view. This is incredible. Yeah, what a difference. What a difference the experience has been. I can't tell you. I felt like I was gonna die the last time I was here, and I have been so scared of doing this video again ever since that time because this was such a traumatic experience for me. I'm pretty proud of myself right now.
Yeah, good
pretty
job.
Proud of myself. I've been walking 3 miles every day, and yesterday I walked 7 miles. So I'm doing this a day after walking 7 miles.
It's pretty impressive.
I'm pretty proud of myself right now. I can't lie. I can't lie. Like, shut up. I did it. See, Yosemite, here I come. Here I come. I have just a few months left to prepare, but I'm gonna make it up to that mountain.
Yeah.
Trust me there.
From here, you can get a full panoramic view of Ponce Inlet and the surrounding waterways. Looking inland, you can see the Halifax River winding north toward Daytona Beach. Off in the distance, you can spot the white sand of the Barrier Islands, and to the east, the Atlantic Ocean stretching out endlessly to the horizon.
Oh, this wind feels so good. It's like, oh.
So that must be the historic hotel down there.
It's easy to see why this location was chosen. From up here, you can watch boats entering the inlet, track the weather coming off the ocean, and understand just how important this light was to mariners navigating Florida's coast.
Some crazy waves out there. So they just had a storm come in yesterday, and that's the observation tower and jetty that was completely destroyed.
See the waves just crashing through the jetty.
Yeah, so you're not allowed to go out there anymore, or not today anyway. Look at those waves. You normally go out on that.
Stepping back inside the tower is the gallery and lantern room, where the lighthouse's powerful beacon still shines today.
Oh, yeah. So you can't go up to the very top, it's blocked. You can see it though.
It's so cool, it's rotating.
I love lighthouse lights. They're so pretty.
Along the walls are informational signs that describe what life was like for the keepers, including their morning and evening routines. Each day started before sunrise, cleaning the lantern glass, polishing the brass, and preparing the lamp for another long night. After sunset, the keeper would climb all 203 steps again to light the lamp and keep it burning until dawn. The lighthouse was a marvel of technology. To run this brick giant, 3 lighthouse keepers were required. Because this area was so remote in those days, each keeper brought their family here to live, and each family had their own house and nearby outbuildings on the grounds. The principal keeper's dwelling was the largest and most prominent of the keeper homes. This is where the head keeper and his family lived. On the front porch, there's a sign listing every principal keeper who ever served here, along with a World War II searchlight from the U.S. Navy destroyer, a nod to the lighthouse's long connection to maritime history. From the porch, you can peek through the window into the principal keeper's office, where you can see just how it would have appeared during the station's early years, complete with period furnishings and equipment. The home originally included 3 bedrooms and a kitchen, but today it houses a variety of exhibits and displays highlighting different aspects of the station's history. In the first room on the right, you'll find exhibits about the Native American presence in the area, including an impressive dugout canoe suspended from the ceiling. You also see a section of the original gallery bracket that once supported the top of the lighthouse before it was replaced during the restoration in 2001. This room also features exhibits detailing the restoration work that's been done across the station's buildings, from the tower to the keeper's dwellings. Further inside, you'll even peek into the bathroom to see just how it would have looked in the early 1900s.
Look, Colgate tooth powder. And I use that same style safety razor at home. Interesting.
And the next room displays focus on the construction of the lighthouse itself, including a detailed model showing the tower mid-build, complete with a tramway system that once carried materials across the site. Another room features interactive exhibits where you can explore the science of light, learning how refraction and reflection work inside a lighthouse lens to project a beam visible for miles. Moving on, you'll find artifacts recovered from the SS Commodore, which sank about 12 miles off the coast of Daytona Beach in 1897. Nearby, a touchscreen display called Lighthouses of the World lets you explore other historic lighthouses that are still standing and open to visitors today. And finally, the last exhibit focuses on Lighthouse Service Airway Division, showcasing lights and beacons used for early aviation navigation. Around the back of the house, you'll find the cellar entrance, a cool, shaded space where the keeper's family would have stored food and other supplies safely out of the Florida heat. Next, we stop by the first assistant keeper's dwelling, which is decorated to show what life would have been like here in the 1890s. The building is closed to the public, but you can still look through the windows and doorways, now covered with protective glass, to see the rooms inside just as they would have appeared over a century ago. Through the front doorway, you can see a parlor furnished with a piano, a writing desk, and other period pieces. Looking through the next doorway, you'll spot one of the bedrooms, complete with a bed, record player, and even a chamber pot beside the bed. Along the side of the house, there's a sign explaining the porch restoration, along with a hand pump and cistern. This setup would have provided water for drinking, cooking, and doing laundry. On the same side, you can also peek into the kitchen, staged as it would have looked in the 1890s.
They still had Hershey's cocoa over there, though.
Look at Hershey's cocoa.
This building was home to the second assistant keeper and his family, but from 1954 to 1972, it also served as the very first town hall for the newly incorporated town of Ponce Inlet, giving this little house a special place in the town's history. Inside, you'll find exhibits dedicated to the lighthouse keepers and their families. Many of the artifacts on display were unearthed right here on the historic grounds. Things like medicine chests, toothbrushes, razors, combs, shoes, and even children's toys. One of the most popular displays tells the story of Jingles the lighthouse dog. According to the story, Jingles once leapt onto the narrow concrete ledge high up on the lighthouse. The keeper's son, Billy, had to climb out of the window and carefully nudge Jingles along the edge with his knees until they made it safely back into the window.
The assistant lightkeeper. Oh,
He was the best assistant.
he was the best. You're such a good boy.
Another section of the house recreates the pantry, where you can see shelves lined with tins, jars, canned goods, bottles, and cleaning supplies. There's also an exhibit highlighting Daytona's early racing history, featuring photos and displays showing when cars actually raced right on the beaches of the Ormond-Daytona area. And finally, one room showcasing the uniforms and clothing worn by lighthouse keepers. Next, we stopped at the Woodshed Video Theater, which shows a short but informative film about the history of the lighthouse and its keepers. The video runs every 20 minutes, starting on the hour, and it's definitely worth watching if you want to learn how the light station operated through the years. This building was originally the keeper's woodshed, used to store wood and kindling for cooking and heating. Around the back is the Privy exhibit, showing what the outdoor bathrooms looked like from 1887 until indoor plumbing was added to the dwellings in 1921.
Oh, they got reading material in there.
You know, that is not reading material, that is toilet paper.
It's both.
That is an old Sears catalog, and you know, yeah, that is Sears and Roebuck.
Yep.
That is toilet paper right there. Toilet paper.
Here's the old Privy. Native plant garden for bees and butterflies. Oh, look.
Tortoise nest.
So there's the nature walk. So yeah, it does go along the fence line.
Oh.
Take a short walk through pristine coastal Florida woodlands. Let's go look at the Cuban refugee rafts. So these are actual Cuban refugee rafts. Between 1966 and 1995, anyone who fled Cuba and reached the United States was allowed to pursue residency 1 year after their arrival. Many Cubans left the island in small boats and rafts, hoping to reach international waters where they might be picked up and brought the rest of the way to freedom.
Is that one made out of concrete? That looks like it's made out of concrete in the back.
Yeah. Yeah, this is whatever you could, rummage together. Could you imagine like taking like this boat here and be like, all right, let's go sail the open ocean in it.
Right?
Look at that mast pole. It's just like a stick. Yeah.
It's a bamboo stick.
So the raft to your left was washed ashore in Volusia County in 1989. Clothing found on board suggests that children were among those on the raft. The orange life vest was left behind by the Coast Guard to indicate that these refugees were rescued at sea. The raft on the right washed ashore in 1994. The 90-mile-wide Florida Straits between Cuba and South Florida is treacherous, and the fate of the individuals aboard this raft is unknown. Gosh, could not imagine sailing the open ocean in these tiny little boats.
I couldn't imagine. 90 miles, that's a long way.
Yep. It's foam.
It looks like it's foam and then like maybe plastered over.
Yeah.
Painted maybe, perhaps?
Past the rafts, a short nature trail winds through the coastal hardwood hammock, a shaded, peaceful walk that feels completely different from the open grounds near the lighthouse. Back here, you'll also find a small pet cemetery where several of the lighthouse cats were laid to rest. These cats weren't just pets, they played an important role in keeping pests out of the buildings and were beloved companions of the lightkeepers and their families.
So this is the generator building.
Each keeper's dwelling on the ground originally had its own outbuilding. These small structures were divided into 2 rooms, a larger storage area for supplies and tools, and a smaller room that served as the family's privy or outhouse. In the late 1930s, as World War II approached, the U.S. Coast Guard took control of the light station and began operating a navigational radio beacon from the site. This marked a shift from purely visual navigation to electronic guidance, helping ships safely find their way along Florida's coastline. Inside the generator building, you can see some of the original radio equipment along with World War II artifacts from the era.
So it says, if you're hearing the Morse code signal, this is the message. Thanks for visiting the Ponce Inlet Light Station.
The next stop is one of the most fascinating buildings here, second only to the lighthouse itself, the Lens Exhibit Building.
Holy crap.
Built in 1995, this museum showcases the station's incredible collection of historic Fresnel lenses. Inside, you'll find Ponce Inlet's original 1887 fixed first-order Fresnel lens, along with Cape Canaveral's rotating first-order lens, and several others of varying sizes and designs. It's an amazing opportunity to see these lenses up close and to really understand the evolution of lighthouse illumination, from the simple oil lamps to these intricate glass masterpieces that could project a light for miles across the ocean. This is truly a stunning collection and one of the highlights of the entire property, a must-to-see when you visit the Ponce Inlet Lighthouse and Museum. Just outside the Lens exhibit building, you'll find the impressive bronze bell known as the 1,000-pounder. This massive bell was salvaged from a sunken sea buoy at the entrance to Charleston Harbor. Their deep tone cuts through the thick fog to warn mariners of danger when the light couldn't be seen. Right next to the bell, you can follow a short paved path that marks the route of the old tramway used during the construction of the lighthouse in the 1880s. This small rail line carried bricks and building materials from the dock to the construction site. Once the lighthouse was completed, the tram was removed and eventually replaced by a boardwalk, later paved into a concrete sidewalk in 1909. According to local oral history, a man named Jesse Lindsay, a well-known figure who worked at the nearby Pacetti Hotel, helped construct the tramway. We'll learn more about his fascinating story when we visit the Pacetti Hotel Museum later in our tour. The oil storage house itself was built in 1887, and it was one of the very first oil houses in the country designed specifically to store kerosene. At the time, a full year's supply was kept here. The larger steel tanks you see today were added later, in 1927, when storage needs increased. The final building to see here is the pump house. In 1907, a well was dug at the spot, complete with a windmill and a water tank mounted above it. The pump house itself was added in 1915 to shelter a gasoline-powered pump that replaced the original windmill system. Then in 1929, the station upgraded once again, installing an electric pump and generator. This generator provided power for the newly added electric lights inside the keepers' dwellings, marking a big step forward in comfort and technology for the families who lived here. The exit, of course, takes you right through the gift shop, and it's definitely worth taking your time here. The shop is huge and filled with all kinds of fun souvenirs, books, and lighthouse-themed gifts. There's even a scavenger hunt that you can do while exploring the grounds, and it's a great way to keep the kids engaged and make the visit even more interactive. And naturally, we couldn't leave empty-handed. We picked up our usual souvenirs, and Noah couldn't resist grabbing the American Lighthouses book. So I guess that means we'll be visiting a few more lighthouses in the future. The Pacetti Hotel is located just across the street from the lighthouse parking lot. From here, you can follow the short walkway down the driveway to reach the hotel. Built in the 1880s, the Pacetti Hotel is one of the oldest surviving structures in all of Volusia County. Originally, it served as a small fishing resort before later becoming a private winter guest home for wealthy families traveling south to escape the cold. Today, it stands as a beautifully preserved historic site listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Back in the late 1800s, most visitors arrived by boat along the Halifax River, which is why the front of the building actually faces the water, not the road. The driveway you see today was added much later after automobiles became a common way to reach this quiet coastal town. The Pacetti Hotel was founded in 1881 by the Pacetti family and remained in operation until 1920. The building was later purchased by the Ponce Inlet Lighthouse Preservation Association in 2019, ensuring that this important piece of local history would be preserved for future generations. As you walk inside, you'll first come to a small room where a short film plays, sharing the story of the Pacetti family and the early days of the hotel. Next to it, you'll find a display of hats and accessories from the 1930s and 40s, along with a preserved bathroom featuring old-fashioned hairbrush, shaving razor, curling iron, and even a soap saver. It's a small but fascinating glimpse into the everyday life during that era. Another room is staged as a living room with vintage furniture that recreates what a guest lounge might have looked like when the hotel was open to travelers. Nearby, an exhibit showcases the hotel's connection to fishing with displays of fishing poles, lines, and lures, plus a large shark jaw caught right here off the coast of Ponce Inlet. There's also a scavenger hunt here that you can pick up for kids, just like the lighthouse grounds, making this stop both educational and fun for families exploring together. One of the most interesting parts of the first floor is the caretaker's room, which once belonged to Jesse Lindsay, the resident caretaker for many years.
Jesse was a local legend known as the Giant of Ponce Park, standing at a reported 6 feet 8 inches tall. He was so large that he had to sleep diagonally across his bed and cut off the sides and ends of his shoes just to make them fit. Jesse was famous for his strength and his uncanny ability to find the best fishing spots. Locals said that he could sense where the fish were biting and would row visitors through strong tides of the inlet single-handedly to reach them. Making your way up to the second floor, there are several rooms to explore, each highlighting a different part of the hotel's history. One room was dedicated to the women of the Pacetti Hotel, and another to the men of the Pacetti Hotel, each honoring the families who helped keep this place running during its early years. There's also a room devoted to the connection between the lighthouse and the hotel, featuring artifacts uncovered during the hotel's restoration. You can also peek inside the visible storage room. When the hotel was in operation, this space was lined with cedar closets, shelves, and built-in dressers used for storing clothes, linens, and cleaning supplies. Today, it houses items from the museum's collections that aren't currently on display. Next door is the Pacetti bedroom, staged to look like it would have between the 1890s and 1910s. On the washstand, you'll see a traditional pitcher and a bowl set, the kind that would have been used for washing up before indoor plumbing. Beside that is the Gamble bedroom, which reflects the 1930s through the 1960s, when the hotel had become a private guest home. This is what a visitor's room would have looked like during that time. And the steam trunk at the foot of the bed would have held all the guest clothing and personal items for their stay. At the end of the hall is the Nippert Suite and Cincinnati Reds exhibit. These rooms were combined along with the space at the back of the hallway to form a suite and bathroom for the hotel's later owners, Louis and Louise Nippert. The Nipperts also happened to be the majority owners of the Cincinnati Reds baseball team from 1973 to 1981. Inside their former sitting room, you'll find a small but impressive collection of Reds memorabilia, including actual seats from Crosley Field, a signed jersey, a signed bat, and more. If you found this information helpful, I would love it if you would hit that like button and subscribe to discover more incredible things to do in Florida and beyond. I post a new video every week, and the best way to be able to see them is by subscribing. Also, a huge shout out to our channel members. You guys help keep this channel going, and we couldn't be more thankful. If you would like to help support what we do here and get exclusive emotes, early access to our videos, and more, click the link in the video description for more details. If you want to see another amazing lighthouse on an active Space Force station, check out our Space Force tour video that just popped up on the screen. You'll also get a look at historic launch pads, including one where Alan Shepard launched to become the first American in space. Until next time.